Draft pod, full effect. Big Hank is back. Will he commit to us all draft season? Find out. Will we talk to you about who the most commonly mocked guys for the Broncos are? Who knows? Super Bowl recap and team building lessons? Let's see. Tune in and find out. Now. DNVR Draft Pod. We're doing it. That's right, baby. Live from downtown Denver on the corner of Colfax and York, right above the DNVR bar. We are live from the Toyota Lounge. Toyota. Live vicariously.
Yeah.
No, build from the trenches?
Yes,
Yeah,
draft
they would
responsibly.
believe in that.
Draft responsibly. The draft is all that matters. Let's go places is also their tagline, but really it encompasses all of what we just said. Mm-hmm. Let's go places is building from the trenches, drafting responsibly. That's how you go places. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into that and so much more. I'm joined, of course, by the man, the myth, the legend, my co-host, Jake the Schwan Man Schwanitz.
Hello.
DNVR Buffs legend.
Yeah, I guess so.
We have super producer Yaya on the ones and twos. Mm-hmm. True to his nickety, he is super producing right now. It's a joy to have him there. But I'm bearing the lead because the big Hank Chisholm, a man whose stock cannot stop growing, who absolutely took this Broncos season and made it his own, dominated it from start to finish, whether it was the bottom of the roster bubble guys, the practice squatters, to the biggest, juiciest stories throughout the entire season. Big Hank is back on the draft pod. That's how you know it's officially draft season. And Henry, before you get to speak and say your hellos and tell us how you're doing, frankly, we don't care.
Okay. That was a hard turn.
Yeah, it is.
It's rough on this show,
That's what we do. We build you up and we slam you right back down.
Yep. Like an alley-oop.
I want to know, are you ready to put a virtual... What are those called? Shit, I was thinking about this all morning.
Virtual...
The rings where you're like too young
Olympics?
to get married, but you're making a commitment. Is it a commitment ring? No, it's not a commitment ring. It's called a promise ring.
There we go. There we go.
Are you ready to put a promise ring and commit to us for the rest of draft season?
Yes, and you must do this within the first 5 minutes of this show.
That's exactly right.
I'm feeling good. So the only problem is that I don't know anything about this draft. I'm a
this is amazing.
I'm a Fernando Mendoza guy. I want that to be clear.
Okay.
And then after the first pick, I'm really lacking takes. In fact, like last night, I was thinking I'm going to be on this show. I'm going to let's use one of those mock draft machines. And with the first pick, I took Caden Proctor, who I need an update on because last I heard he was good. And then I got to the second pick and thought, I don't think the Broncos really need any of these guys. And so I just stopped right there. And that is the most simpleton take that you can have, is that once you get to the second round, it's like, So I need to be fixed and I need to be updated. I need to learn everything about the draft.
You've come to the right place.
Oh, I know I have.
Promise ring?
Yeah, promise ring.
Yeah,
promise ring.
Yeah, we got it. We're so back. So we're doing it full on Hank season. And I can't wait. I'm very excited. So let's start with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's work backwards.
I don't know if you guys heard.
Topical.
But they played a game.
Right.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
And some are saying, in my head, that George Payton is now a Super Bowl winning GM.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
Because his contribution to that Seahawks Super Bowl was very important.
We're doing this right now, too.
I think we just got to knock
I
it
guess
out.
so, yeah.
The
We
emotional
just have to knock
swings
it
right
out.
now are crazy.
We're going to have
I
fun
know,
later,
man.
but this is
Strap
going to be
in.
the pain first.
All right. Well,
Yeah, because I want to get into how the Russell Wilson trade, how monumental was that? And how important is it to trade for draft picks and hit on those? And also, have no fear, guys. We're going to get into the latest mocks.
Yep.
Fran has a great piece on the website about that. Become a diehard. And yeah, so there's lots to get into, but we're starting here. Super Bowl takeaways, and I'd start from the Russell Wilson trade.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm of the belief that there's just like crazy economics behind NFL teams that generally determine how good a team is or how bad a team is. And I brought up this example before, and I'm going to keep bringing it up whenever something like this happens, which is that, remember, the first draft after they moved to the slotted contract, so rookies are no longer getting the $25 million a year.
Right.
The number 1 pick was Cam Newton. The number 2 pick was Von Miller. And then what happens in the final cost-controlled year for those guys? They meet in the Super Bowl because each team is saving $25 million, and that really, really helps. And a very similar thing happened for the Seahawks, where, so obviously they get Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris. None of those guys really mattered. Like all three kind of just misses. No offense to Drew Lock or Noah Fant or Shelby Harris.
Well, only one of those guys got a ring, right?
Right, exactly. I guess he did throw a couple passes this year, but it wasn't like it was a Brock Osweiler backup. But all the draft picks they got were in 2022 and 2023. So they were all in year 3 or year 4 of their rookie deals.
Yep.
So prime cost control. So 2022 first round pick, Charles Cross, starting left tackle. 2022 second round pick, Boye Mafe. I haven't followed him as much.
Mafe, I think, has not worked out.
Yes.
he graded pretty well in the Super Bowl. Only played 24 snaps. So.
Okay. Tyreek Smith, the 5th round pick that year. And then the 2023 draft, you get Devin Witherspoon, one of the best nickels in the NFL, in the first round. And then you get Derek Hall in the second round, the edge rusher who had 2 sacks and forced a fumble.
Derek Hall's been much more of a hit, but that's the beauty of getting so many picks. Is
Right. You could
might
take
not
3
hit
edge
a
rushers.
Mafe, then you can still go back to the well,
Right.
get Derek Hall. Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, without all of that, are they winning the Super Bowl? Probably not.
Well,
I mean, your starting left tackle and your best DB.
And the guy who got you 2 sacks and a forced fumble.
Well, also, I think you kind of buried the most important part, in my opinion, which is we gave them a get out of jail free card with Russell Wilson.
Also true.
They got to take 2 swings.
Yeah.
They got Geno in there, decided, nope, he's not good enough, and made another swing for Sam Darnold, and here we go.
They were right about Geno.
Absolutely.
And they were right about Darnold.
Also,
And right about Russ.
Yes.
Yes.
Darnold, a guy who not on a rookie contract, but a good enough contract to where you were
Right.
able to build. And then
Right.
having all these guys on rookie contracts makes it that much easier. Like Charles Cross just got his long-term contract, but that doesn't kick in until next
Right.
year. Witherspoon will get his, but that won't kick in until,
Quick side note
please.
relative to quarterbacks making a lot of money.
Yes.
So first round picks have the 5th-year option.
Yes.
So Bo has 2 more seasons before the 5th-year option.
Correct.
And you always think like, oh, 5th-year option, nice and cheap. So for this year, the quarterbacks who teams have to determine whether to accept it this year, if you just are a starting quarterback, you hit the playing time threshold, costs $27 million. If you've made a Pro Bowl, costs $40 million. If you've made multiple Pro Bowls, it's $47 million. So that cost control that comes with the 5th-year option isn't that big. But the kicker here for the Broncos is that Bo Nix had the back injury, the broken back last year, so he didn't accept the Pro Bowl invite. This year he had the ankle, so he didn't go to the Pro Bowl. And because he was an alternate instead of being like selected, those don't count. So as of right now, he would be the $27 million option instead of the $47 million. You save $20 million because he wasn't healthy enough to go to his Pro Bowls.
You do have 2 more years, though.
Only one, because you have to decide before
multiple.
next year.
One and they have
So,
to get
but I mean,
multiple,
so
right?
at minimum, you're saving $7 million because of those. And if he
I've
makes
seen
the Pro Bowl this year,
quarterback lineup, I'm pretty confident he's going to get
What happens if they take
We'll
away
see.
the Pro Bowl, though?
I would say he doesn't get the $40 million.
I mean, we're playing flag football anyways. I don't
Right.
know how this counts for contracts. It's crazy.
I wish
it
that
is.
was a joke.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Quite literally, they're playing flag football.
I made.
What has happened to the game we lost?
It's crazy. I have no idea.
Sickening.
We were in San Francisco for the Pro Bowl, and so I was watching it in my room, and I had to meet everybody downstairs, and I was on the couch, and I made him swear not to tell anybody that I was watching the Pro Bowl because, like, it's embarrassing to watch the Pro Bowl, but it was electric. It was actually a lot of fun. Like, guys are making crazy plays. I know I'm embarrassed to say this publicly, but I hadn't watched in a couple of years, and I had fun.
Wow.
It's one of my bad takes. I'll play more.
Other Seahawks lessons.
Oh, real quick before we move on from the trade, along with Russell Wilson, the Broncos also got 4th round pick. That's Inyu Uzurike. So he became like a very good run stuffer who kind of makes things work. So if that makes you feel better about missing out on all the other guys,
Came in handy in the divisional round for sure in those heavier sets.
Totally.
So you're able to invest in edge with the Russell Wilson trade and then 2 premium positions that paid off really well. They also were really savvy in how they built the interior of that defensive line. A phenomenal trade for Leonard Williams. Sam Darnold, Leonard Williams, we always joke that I have an affinity for USC players and it never quite works out. Those two definitely have hit and have made me look good in my evals. And building from the interior of the defensive line, we don't always talk about defensive tackle as a premium position. I think this time of the year, we're always like, oh yeah, that definitely is like one of the core parts of building a championship team. The further away we get from the Super Bowl, then we kind of forget. So that was a nice reminder. And then they drafted the freak of freaks in Nick Anwari, who paid off in a big way. And I was watching some Sonny Styles yesterday and wondering, could he be Nick Anwari?
Why do teams make this so hard? We talked so much about this guy last year. And talked about, oh man, he's kind of this new age, like,
because Isaiah
Kyle
Simmons
Hamilton,
exists.
Like, yeah, but we were like, I mean, look, bro, he can cover. He's good in the box. Like, don't let this guy go to Seattle or Baltimore. They'd fit in great there. And what do you know?
You know what's funny, Jake? Because I've had these moments the last few days of thinking about when I started this, however many years ago that was. There was a lot of like, don't be the idiot who drafts Jamarcus Russell first overall.
Sure.
19 years ago, the Raiders had the first overall pick. We're back at it. And the quarterbacks they're looking at couldn't be more drastically different.
Wow, yeah.
And as I've moved away from that, in some ways we've kind of just come full circle right back to that, where it's like, sometimes you're dumb to overthink it and you should draft the guy who's bigger, faster, stronger, has the biggest arm, or can just like play safety,
everything.
but is literally built like a linebacker.
Yes.
And you don't need to overthink it. And I kind of resented that thinking because we grind the tape, we follow this stuff year round, and it feels lazy to just look at combine results, look at the size measurements and be like, yep, he's a first rounder. Sometimes it really is that easy.
It's just frustrating. That's honestly probably good why you're here for this.
Yeah.
Just tell us who's a good football player, and honestly, you might be
interesting.
better off.
Yeah.
I did have a first round grade on him. He was my 17th prospect on my board.
Yeah, we talked a lot about him. I remember that.
Yeah. But again, then you also have like an Isaiah Simmons where it's like, oh my goodness, he could be an edge rusher. He could be a safety. He could do anything you want at a high level. And for some reason, when you miss on a guy like that, it feels worse than like you draft Will Campbell, for example. And it's like, well, people thought he was going to be a good prospect. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work out. But when you draft a guy who's supposed to be like freaky and he just provides nothing, for some reason that seems to scare teams away more.
Yeah.
Good point, but
I want to get into Will Campbell
I know, I'm
on
sure
the
we-
other side.
Yep.
And but first, a quick little break, and then we're going to talk Broncos mocks and a whole other bunch of stuff. But first, Bet365, the homies, official partner of the Colorado Avs, McKinnon and the boys playing right now, of the Denver Nuggets, and our betting partner. We've got some updated little draft props, not just the number 1 overall pick, the number 2 overall pick, where we have Arvel Reese as the betting favorite. That's an intriguing one. I think you could go a lot of different ways. David Bailey might be quite intriguing on that one. Can bet on the Olympics. Can bet on so much more. And of course, you can use their sign-up offer right now where new customers use our code DNVR365, get $200 in bonus bets when you bet 5, win or lose. All you do is sign up using our code DNVR365, deposit $10, bet $5. As soon as that's settled, win, lose, or draw, $200 in bonus bets for you to play with, player props, totals, spreads, parlays, futures, you name it, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. TNCs apply. And then Taco Bell. Taco Bell are dear, dear friends, and they are taking care of us. They're taking care of you with their Luxe value menu. A Taco Bell, it's like an old classic, even though it's a new thing. All crave-worthy items in their lineup, all for under $3. From savory classics to indulgent new favorites, you can try the new Chipotle Ranch Chicken Stacker, the mini taco salad, the beefy potato loaded griller, or the chips and nacho supreme dip. Those are a classic in my home. Finish your order off with an order of the salted caramel churros. Wow. All for $3 or less. The 10-item Luxe Value Match. Luxe Value Menu is a match nobody delivers everyday value and supports your home team quite like Taco Bell. Taco Bell, live más. We are so back in the Toyota Lounge. Patriots lessons. That's another team that in recent drafts was able to nail the pick for a star cornerback in Christian Gonzalez, which I guess in the AFC Championship, did everyone have a highly drafted star corner? I guess the Rams didn't, and that's kind of their Achilles heel.
Maybe they wouldn't have given up 35 or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But certainly Broncos, Pats, and Seahawks all had that in common. But then the left tackle did not work out like Charles Cross has worked out. Now, hard to compare a rookie to a fourth-year player. And also, I think it's worth mentioning Will Campbell was playing with a very serious MCL injury.
Yeah.
Was he?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He could have not had an MCL, and I'm still
They're
out
all
on
hurt.
Will Campbell.
Everyone's hurt at that point.
Right. Everyone's hurt. Drake May was hurt.
Yeah.
But I still look at him and say, like, terrible game.
For sure.
I think it's easy to be like, I told you so. And again, do the reverse Nick Anuari where it's like, I've
short arms.
Of course he was going to struggle. But his bigger deficiency is the anchor right now.
Yes.
Where like the size speed athletes in the NFL are just bigger and they're really going to test that for you, which is my biggest concern with Will Campbell. Wasn't so much, it was the arm length combined with the lack of anchor, which made me feel like the backup plan isn't, we can't really put him at right guard and run behind him.
Like you have to go center probably.
Center at best left guard and use that athleticism and that kind of, But I also think, this is something we've been saying a lot this draft season, it's important to remember to preach patience.
Yeah.
Totally.
It is. Like if you're a Patriots fan, that is the answer. It's like, we got to be patient. But from an outside perspective, when you see, that's the worst game of tackles ever played in the Super Bowl statistically.
Yeah.
Like that's just,
he's getting beat like a drum. It's crazy.
Right. I just don't know how you don't do something there. Right. Because so here's one of my takeaways from the Super Bowl. We had Baldy on right before the playoffs started. And one of the things that he said was that in the playoffs, your weaknesses just get exposed. And that's kind of what the game is it's exposing weaknesses, and each round you make it through, it just gets even tougher to get away with those weaknesses. And, that's what happened with the Patriots, is they just weren't able to protect up front. That offensive line was a weakness, and you saw it at various times throughout the playoffs, and eventually you just couldn't get through it anymore. And again, I think you go through all these different teams and you see various things. And so when I've been thinking about this Super Bowl, I've been looking at it through that lens So one is the offensive line. Like if you roll it back and those guys aren't just like magically better next year, you're cooked. Like there's no answer. That needs to be fixed for them to have a chance. But I think there's a lot of other things. Like I think Drake May, for example, his inability to throw with any anticipation really cost him in that game. And I don't know if that's like a deep down Drake May can't do it thing, or if it's like in that game he didn't trust it or whatever it was. But after watching that, again, like there's the clip going around of whatever Seattle DB.
Julian Love, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Where it's exactly what he said. It's like, this isn't like Stafford. He needs to see the guy open to throw it. And again, that's a serious weakness because in the playoffs, in the NFL, the windows are small for receivers. Like occasionally you have JSN on your team and you're going up against whatever mid cornerback one. And in week 7, you might be able to just get him so wide open you're able to beat him. By the time you get to this point in the playoffs, windows open and close so quickly that the quarterbacks who succeed are the guys who do get the ball out quickly before the guy breaks. Like Stafford was his example. Tom Brady obviously was the best ever at that.
Right.
Like there's, I think having watched that Super Bowl, that's one of the lessons I'm taking away is that a quarterback needs to be able to do that. And I'm not even sure how much you can totally scout that in the draft, but I do think that like that's one of the reasons I said I'm a Fernando Mendoza guy because I trust him as just a big dude who gets that ball out quickly. What he did in the CFP this year, I think in some ways is kind of sustainable. That was a lot of thoughts.
No, that was great.
But
great points.
that is the thing about Mendoza is does Mendoza have enough of the other stuff
right
to inevitably survive those first couple years where you're swimming, everything's going so fast and you're not processing as quickly to get to that later stage.
That's why
and
it's a
that's
gamble.
another one where it's like patience, right? Like we were talking about this with Dalvin Cook. Like everyone wants to poo-poo RJ, but Dalvin Cook wasn't very good his first couple years. And I was like, dang, was I overrate?
Talking about James Cook?
Yes. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I was going to say, but I didn't know for sure.
No, please. You know I'm,
Okay.
You know I'm name blind. You need to step in there.
Sorry.
James Cook in Buffalo, and I was feeling like, man, did I evaluate him wrong in Georgia? And now he's become a star. Or Garrett Bowles, who I don't need to tell Broncos fans, like wasn't exactly the most popular guy in town.
Sure.
And maybe, was having different issues than what Will Campbell's struggling with, but was struggling at left tackle, and now he probably should have won Protector of the Year.
He was the best tackle in the NFL. Deion Dawkins. Here's a side note on Deion Dawkins.
It takes time for quarterbacks more than any.
When we were just like
Dawkins,
walking
yes.
back before we were going to the airport in San Francisco,
Okay.
and I was
Oh,
here.
this is gonna be good.
Yeah, so we're just walking down the sidewalk, and I was here on your left, because the guy's on a scooter, and then it was Deion Dawkins, and he flew by on my right side. Massive
No
man on a
way.
scooter. And I was like, okay, you don't know left or right, first of all, but also you shouldn't be on that scooter. You're too big for it.
Maybe it was his left.
No, we were
'Cause you had
both
your-
going the same way. Right.
Dang, that's
There's my
that's a
Deion
shame.
Dawkins story. Yeah.
There's no explanation there. The left is the same left for me
No,
as it
you're
is for
right.
a left tackle. Like,
You're right.
And it's like if you don't know left or right, first of all, I don't think you concede in the NFL at any position. That's kind of important. But also when your job is left tackle, like it's the name.
it's inexplicable.
Right.
Yeah,
That was my side note on Deion
that
Dawkins.
is fun.
I missed him.
That is fun. Yeah, Will Campbell's going to be a really interesting one. The other thing is, short arms, yes, but then he tested like an absolute athletic freak.
Good.
And we always talk about those are correlated metrics. But I do think with time, it's the reverse of quarterback. With time, you're able to exploit your athleticism more, while in the early years as a tackle, your size is going to be more of an advantage
Yes.
because your positioning and footwork can still be kind of raw or unrefined, but that size is going to be able to get you through just because you're bigger and harder to get by. So he's just one of those guys that probably is going to need a little more development, and we should consider that with more finesse tackles, as they might struggle a little more in the early years.
I mean, that's kind of my takeaway from it is, if you're undersized, you don't have a great anchor, and you have short arms, it's going to be pretty hard
tough.
for you to survive at left tackle.
Yeah.
And I just remember we talked about him so much, and I always said, I like the player. He looks like a fine player. I just don't think he's a left tackle. And But then again, it's like, well, then I don't know if he really has the flexibility to play guard. And then I'm just, where does
Certainly
he fit
wasn't
in?
a right tackle. So
Exactly.
It's like,
Right.
And I kept saying he kind of reminds me of Ethan Pocic, the former LSU center. Like,
Exactly. So
yeah.
that's tough. I mean, not to be too like definitive on him and all that. You know, we got some time for sure. But also with that too, it's possible to just be early in the NFL as well. And obviously the way that the season went for the Broncos in the playoffs really affected things in the AFC playoffs. And I mean, I believe it in my heart of hearts. We're in the Super Bowl if Bo Nix doesn't break his ankle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, absolutely, right? So,
I'm watching that game and thinking Bo's better than both these quarterbacks.
oh my God, we do so much better than
We really could have competed
crazy.
in that game.
Yeah.
But this is a team that had a first-year head coach, a second-year quarterback. They had I don't want to call it lucky. I mean, maybe it is kind of lucky free agent class. They really
Great
hit
free
on a
agent
lot of
class.
guys. Yeah.
The turnaround on that defense is one of the great turnarounds
Exactly.
a unit's seen in recent history.
Right.
It's
I
pretty
think
unbelievable.
In terms of, so rookie left tackle is just not going to work out well in the playoffs. Like, I think very rarely are you going to say, oh, he held up well enough because the pass rushers are so good. Again, like, it's a weakness.
Which is why for the Broncos, when I think of the future and not having McGlinchey, for example, I think you don't just want to draft him when that problem arises and start a rookie.
Yeah.
You want to draft one like now,
Caden Proctor.
develop him, and then put him in a spot where he can start in a year or two.
Yeah, totally. But again, for the Patriots, they didn't expect to be competing for a Super Bowl this year.
Yes.
And so for them, it's like, let's go get a rookie tackle, and this will pay off in a couple years.
Right.
All right, but everything just clicked right in so many ways, but they needed everything to go perfectly to get to that point. They weren't really a contender, and everything went perfect except for that one thing, and that's what killed them. And I would also add that Patriots' run defense isn't bad, but I do think that it was exploitable. Even again, going back to Baldy, like him saying, like, what's the game plan for the Broncos? Run at Milton Williams. Like, he can rush the passer and all that stuff, but there are answers there. And you saw, like, you have that one little crack, and a Seahawks team that wasn't good at running the football all year. Like, they ran more than anybody else. They were, I think, the only team to run at least half the time this season, and like benefited from the commitment to it. But on a per run basis, it wasn't going all that well. You were able to do just enough, though, against the Patriots to create those run lanes. And again, to me, it all just comes down to weaknesses. It's just what do you have that another team can exploit? And then can you just have one fastball that is untouchable? Whether, like for the Broncos, the pass rush would be the one thing that you look at and say, like, okay, we can rush the passer against any team.
Yeah.
PS2 is another one.
Totally.
Like, we just can kind of eliminate your wide receiver one or
just
shut
like the
down
Patriots
one
did.
half of the field.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like JSN wasn't really a factor in that game.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Again, like skewing coverages and that stuff, but wasn't really a
then
factor.
got injured, but yeah.
And so I think when I look at the Broncos, it's, first of all, are there any weaknesses that you can identify? And to me, the answer is kind of no. Like, I think that they...
Running game
I
has
think
to be
the
better.
running game, you hit the nose on the whatever.
But I also think that that's one where that very easily could become maybe not as dominant as your pass rush, but I think pretty close to it if you're able to nail running back. Because that offensive line is capable of doing everything. Like, you've got 5 of the 6 pieces. You just need to find the cheap piece.
Playoffs were a big reminder of how much that run game really matters.
And it's one of the least valuable things for a football team for a reason. It's kind of easy to find and fix a running game. And but if you're purely just a running team, I mean, you need to have so much more to make it to this point, which is clearly what happened with Seattle.
100%. Yeah, it's being multiple, right? Being able to attack in a variety of ways, so you can't just key in on one thing. All great stuff. We're going to shift our focus to the draft on the other side. Hey, thumbs up. I see you, Toyota chat. We'll get to some of your questions here too. But first, shout out to our friends. Rocky Mountain Cancer Center. They, cancer really sucks. They never back down, like the Broncos, like our community, like our people, like our families. Cancer's impacted all of us, and they're there for you in the toughest moments in life. Takes talent, takes teamwork, takes showing up in sports, and it's the same thing, showing up week after week at the Rocky Mountain Cancer Center. That winning mindset has guided them for over 30 years. They're Colorado's leading cancer specialist, treating more adult cancer than anyone else in the state. When the toughest challenges in life hit your way, Rocky Mountain Cancer Center is there for you. The team Coloradoans trust to never back down, standing up with you through every up and down. Rocky Mountain Cancer Center, the official sponsor of Denver sports fans. If you need it, they're there for you. Check them out. And then our friends at Toyota. Toyota, shout out. Toyota, you know the deal. They're the perfect Colorado car. Trucks, SUVs, four-wheel, all-wheel drive. They're all part of Toyota's DNA. That's why I say they're the perfect car to play hooky at work. Get in your Toyota. Go west on 285. Get lost in our beautiful mountains. Pretend you've got a spotty connection at home. Miss some of your Zooms and do your thing. Anyone at DNVR who drives a Toyota swears by it, has some amazing stories about their reliability, their customer service, and just how much they love their Toyota. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, I urge you to visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder Grove Toyota and Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. That's my hood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Back in the Toyota lounge. Seen lots of the homies in the Toyota chat. Love that for us. Hank, we're doing the Shador to Juju Instagram post. We're giving you the keys.
Oh.
You get to take over with some basic B draft questions.
Yep.
And then we got to talk about these consensus mocks because I see Jose in the chat. And yes, spoiler alert, linebacker is who the consensus is mocking to the Broncos most often, even though all the different mock-off seasons and scenarios we've played out would suggest it's not even a top 3 need. But I don't want to spoil that first. First, your basic B questions on the draft.
We just call him a basic boy instead.
Whatever that is, what B stands for.
Yeah, what do you think it stood for?
Yeah, this guy.
We might get in trouble if I say
Hey,
it.
get your head out of the gutter.
Head in the gutter.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hank.
All right. Let's just start at the top.
Henry.
Like I said, I'm a Fernando Mendoza guy.
Hell yeah.
I think,
Hell yeah.
again, like, whether the Raiders can actually put him in a situation to succeed is a whole nother question.
Sure.
But Fernando himself, that's just a big dude who can extend plays in the pocket, not like get out of the pocket like Mahomes and do things.
Less than
but,
like anyone we've seen in recent drafts.
right.
But
I know,
sure,
but in like the Joe Burrow, Stafford, Tom Brady,
No.
you don't think so?
Not Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I think he's below that. I think we are more in the
Really?
Haskins, Stroud, Goff
I
territory.
put Stroud in front of Burrow,
Really?
though. Okay.
As far as
Interesting.
escapability?
Yeah.
No.
Really? Okay. Point is, without the moving past the comps, moving past the comp for it, like I think he does enough in the pocket to buy himself the max amount of time that the pocket provides, and then he's just clinical. Like again, like it's the throwing with anticipation, it's putting it on the body.
Yep.
Like it's the same thing Stafford does. I think if you want to get crazy, no, I'm not gonna say anything crazy yet.
No, crazy. Go crazy.
It's kind of Tom Brady-ish.
I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
Like and when you look through just how
So
productive that
6th round
was,
talent is what we're
right?
saying.
I know, but 6th round talent in a way that like kind of has some upside there. And I think he had was it 5 games where he had more touchdowns than incompletions this year. Nobody else has had more than 2 in a season. Like I didn't know if it would work against like the best defenses in the country, and then he just shreds them in the CFP because again, that style of football is just it's automatic. Like when you have timing with the receiver, he's going to be open for a split second almost every play if you just hit it. So I'm curious, do you guys think I'm delusional or are we a Mendoza pod?
No, we're a Mendoza pod.
Okay.
I like him quite a bit. You asked me a question a couple weeks ago because this was before the Raiders had the first round pick or the first overall pick, I think it was, or it was right when they got it.
Yep.
And Dre introduced like 3 scenarios, and he asked me which one was the scariest, and I said the Fernando Mendoza scenario is the scariest by far.
Okay.
So yeah,
Tough as nails too.
Right.
Tough as nails.
And
Smart as hell.
like literal, like
Yep.
genius.
Yep.
I hate how he got bailed out by his receivers on some inaccurate back shoulder passes.
True.
And he gets credit for those.
Yep.
And also there's some pressure stuff, which we saw in some of the early parts of the CFP games, like the Ohio State game where he literally gets knocked out. Miami kind of had him in a straitjacket for the first couple drives. His last year at Cal, he took 41 sacks. So the elusiveness I think,
Okay.
his scouting report reads like an old school scouting report.
Totally.
Very unlike most recent quarterback prospects we've got. But the floor is as high as we've had in a quarterback prospect in a minute. It's just the ceiling is the question mark. And does he have those tools to survive the inevitable learning stages, especially if you go to the Raiders?
Right.
I mean, you're going to be in hell for 2 years.
You're stuck.
Yeah, they don't have a line either right now.
No,
Totally.
and that's not going to benefit Genty either.
No.
I mean, that backfield is going to be highly touted, and they're going to be in a situation where it's going to be hard for them to kind of produce and get some momentum early in their careers. Unconventional prospect, but you can't argue with national champion, Heisman, and first overall pick. I think he's a set and forget first round grade. Any higher than a first round grade, though, is hard for me.
Okay. Yeah. I also have to think if Matthew Stafford had retired 3 years ago and I wasn't still watching him every week, because the list of those quarterbacks who are still succeeding in the NFL is short.
But Stafford's a
He's got bigger arms.
0.05% arm strength guy.
Totally.
Yes. Also,
That's where Mendoza, both the athleticism and the arm talent aren't.
It's true.
And he's 38 years old and has seen so much football. He's literally throwing
Right.
no-look passes like every other attack.
Stafford,
Right.
not Mendoza.
Yes, of
For a
course.
second, I was like, Mendoza's
No.
38? That's crazy.
That's college football.
We
man.
don't talk about that enough. Wow.
What else you got?
Let's see. Where should we go? How about this one? If I tell you that in year 2
Okay.
of these guys' careers,
Yeah.
3 of them are all pros.
Yeah.
Which 3 are they? In this draft class, you
Okay.
get to make your picks.
Ooh, 3 picks each?
Yep, 3 each.
Interesting.
Who starts?
Whoever's got answers.
Draft
I'm putting you
style?
on the spot.
Caleb Downs, 1.
Okay, I like it.
Easy one.
Okay, so Caleb Downs. Obviously great safety.
Tremendous safety.
I couldn't tell you strengths and weaknesses. So here's Brandon Jones is going into a contract year.
Yeah.
You don't have PJ Locke under contract right now. In
Yeah.
a lot of ways, it makes sense. You go get a safety. He's your number 3 safety this year. He takes over next year.
Great safety class, by the way. We've talked about it.
If you expect him to pair with Ufunga, who's going to be your box safety, it means Downs is more over the top.
Yes.
Is that a good fit for him?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it
Downs
worked
can
out
do
great.
everything.
Yep.
Okay.
It's the beauty of
That'll
it.
never
in
happen, though.
And in terms of trade up,
I mean,
this year's first, next year's first, it's possible.
For a
how
safety,
high?
I don't think you do that.
Yeah,
You don't
that's-
do it, but that would be like the price tag.
But it's also how high do you have to go? Because
I
you
don't
might
know.
have to be top 5 to still try and get him.
The bottom's probably 12-ish.
Right, and that'd be because he's a safety.
He's 8 on the consensus board.
Okay. So say he slips to 12, maybe it's first and second this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which doable.
Especially for a team
2
that
late round picks.
doesn't have a lot of roster spots to be given rookies anyway.
I know, but are we sure about that? You're going to lose
I'll be
JFM probably. You're going to
Right.
lose your starting linebackers.
right. So you have
Do you shed Brandon Jones or Powers and lose another start to create cap? Because if you're staring at we need to fill 3 starters on top of the needs at running back, tight end, wide receiver.
so you can get Singleton or Sternad back for $5 million. It's not like you're breaking the bank.
No, I agree.
And so I think that one's kind of settled. The JFM thing's interesting. Again, I'd pay him. You bring him back, you're going to have the most sacks in the NFL again. You don't bring him back,
would
all of a
agree.
sudden it could bust everything, and next thing you know, you're still top 5 pass rush, but the days of pushing for sack records, they're gone. And so like you would create a roster spot. Right now you're full on the defensive line if you bring JFM back. Savion Jones has the last one, and unless you want to have him compete, like it doesn't really make sense. So I don't know what you do there, but that is one. I think again, like the list is short though of where you can fit. Like you could fit another safety on the roster because PJ's gone. Because like you're not getting rid of Devin Key. He's an all-pro special teamer. And you go through, and when everybody succeeds, like corner is another interesting one because Riley's going into his contract here, and you have Jade, you have Chris Abrams-Drain, so you could fit a 6th. But are you spending another high draft pick on that? I don't know. So there are spots where you could choose them, but you don't need to be making 8 draft picks, especially if you're planning on signing a couple of free agents too.
I love Downs. He's my prospect 1. I don't think it'd be worth trading up.
Okay.
And missing out on a 1st and a 2nd when it's a nice safety class, and I think you can find your future replacement for Brandon Jones down the line.
Okay. Or you could just bring Brandon Jones back.
Yeah.
You could re-sign him this offseason.
Ruben Bain.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
It's a big boy.
Ruben Bain.
At what position?
Do not care. Just make sure his hand is in the dirt and he's going forward.
I love
and
it.
he will be fine.
JFN replacement?
Right. There's a JFM
Absolutely,
replacement.
of course. But
we've had that convo. When his stock dropped because of the short arms narrative,
right.
we were talking about that.
Yeah.
So again, though, you're talking like he falls to 8, and then it's a 1st and a lot more.
In Fran's consensus mock, he went to the Chiefs. And I threw up in my mouth.
It'd be very bad if that happened.
Right, because they draft early. Like, how is he falling to the 30?
No, it's bad.
Right, the Chiefs were bad this year.
Give me Jermod McCoy as my other all-pro in the first 2 years. I feel good about. Tennessee corner, was out with an ACL all of last year. His tape against Bam and Oklahoma from 24 is incredible. I think this guy has the upside to be a top 5 corner in the league.
Okay.
All right.
So McCoy, Bain, and then Caleb
Downs.
Jeremiah Love?
He was next one for me. Say your third, because I don't want to steal. If you want to say him first, I would give that to you.
I feel like I got to say Carnell Tate.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to just pick top 10 guys, but again, you're going to the top 10 because you're expected to kind of be like that. But
This is draft for dummies.
Draft. Yeah,
I need to know about these guys.
No, Carnell Tate, I really like him. Some Dre could probably point out the production and say, you'd maybe want to see more, but I think that he's just pretty complete and he's going to be the next great Ohio State wide receiver. Like, what we thought Egbuka would be. And obviously he had a great start and stuff, but he's big, he's fast, he can stretch the field, great hands. You can line him up kind of wherever. And again, he's coming from Ohio State where Brian Hartline's obviously gone now, but he's just produced wide receivers at an incredible rate. He's played 4 years. I know the production isn't fantastic, but he's played a lot of football and he's proven to be one of the best players on the field when he plays.
So I feel like the Ohio State receivers,
ex-wide receiver in this class,
okay,
potentially.
That was my question.
Yes.
So Ohio State receivers usually, like the calling card is that they're like so smooth, they get open underneath, they find spots, like they catch the ball on the run and just keep running. Does he have all that stuff? Because he is like 6'3" and 200 pounds. It's different.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Garrett Wilson for sure, but it's
he's not JSN Egbuka. That's
exactly,
okay.
yeah.
But he's more of your T. Higgins, Randy Moss, built in a lab, number 1 outside wide receiver.
Just when you say Randy Moss, then I'm like, yeah, you got to trade up.
Not close to that fast, but he's good.
He's very good. Okay, and I thought he was going to say David Bailey, so give me David Bailey as my third.
The Purdue?
Texas Tech
linebacker.
No, you're thinking Nick Scruton.
Scourton.
Jeez. Wait, so he's not the linebacker?
David Bailey was from Stanford.
Edge rusher from Stanford, played at Texas Tech, and I was hearing someone say might join the NFL and have one of the top 5 fastest first steps as an edge rusher from day one.
He's an animal, bro.
And
14 and a half sacks.
He's got that.
He's a game wrecker. Yes.
He's got that.
So Texas Tech had 3 defensive linemen, which is basically they're going to go in the first round or around there.
That's how you win football games.
Romelo's a fun combo,
but that's why they were so good this year. Those 3 guys.
No doubt.
You brought up Jeremiah Love. He's probably again, that's a crazy trade up scenario for the Broncos. Are there any other running backs who so I phrase it as a postseason game changer as a rookie, because that's what the Broncos need. They need somebody who in December and January is going to be a threat to give you 100 yards and defenses need to worry about. That's my bar for saying like we're going with the rookie.
So it was shaping up to be a decent running back class, but we had some guys go back to school, Justice Haynes in particular, and now it's really top heavy with Jeremiah Love. I mean, Jadarian Price is I think he's kind of a do-it-all type of guy, but the size is not ideal or less than ideal. Jonah Coleman out of Washington is someone.
Right.
He started at Arizona. He transferred with Fish to Washington.
Katron Allen's another guy I really like.
Yep, his name keeps coming up.
Those are two 220-pound backs for you.
Here's
Coleman and Allen.
Here's a guy, Mark Fletcher,
Oh,
Miami. Is he in the
he's
draft?
Back.
He went back to
back.
school.
He's back.
I like him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do too. But
Okay.
this is the story with this running back class. Is a lot
Right.
of them kind of did that. We do like Le'Veon Moss quite a bit though. The running back out of Texas
Okay.
A&M. He got hurt halfway through the year.
Yep. That's
Okay.
what I saw at the Senior Bowl from Jaden Ott.
We need to have a conversation about that.
The Jaden Ott convo. He'll be
Former
fun.
almost Buffalo
Yes.
was committed, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
He'll be fun in the running back preview. Consensus mock?
Can I hit you with some quick rapid fires?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Who's a projected first rounder that you aren't touching?
Ooh, great question. Wow.
Man, what a question.
Yeah, that's a great one, Hank. Okay, I thought he was phenomenal this year, and he's got a lot of fans, but just Mekhi Lemon, I wonder if he's too small.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
You're still
kind of
touching
leaning
him,
that way.
right?
I am, but like, I mean, I'm picking from the best players in this draft here. You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to?
Avion Terrell.
Who's that?
The AJ Terrell's brother.
Oh, red flag right there. No, wait. He was
AJ's
good and then kind of fell off a bit.
Ooh,
That's fair. He was good.
He's undersized. Fran got me when in the mock he wrote him up and said he compares him to Jair Alexander. So maybe I got to go back to him. But boy, those Clemson guys, they've all got some stink on them.
yeah,
They do have
terrible
some
year
stink.
for them.
Yeah, and he's undersized, and I don't know.
is.
I don't know. It's a really great cornerback class.
He's got to fly for it to work.
There's plenty of guys I'm willing to wait on rather than drafting Terrell in the first round.
Okay.
Also, Caleb Banks makes me nervous too with
Yeah.
the injury history.
Yeah.
We'll skip last one.
Okay.
Yes.
Dream scenario for pick 30.
Kenyon Sadiq.
This guy's
Kenyon Sadiq.
crushing it.
You think that's possible?
It's becoming more possible.
Is it?
It's becoming more possible.
I remember when Tyler Warren was becoming more popular. You know, there's always like the arc with those guys. And I'm putting my foot in the ground and saying it's not going to happen. I'm not getting fooled again.
Tyler Warren had a 1,000-yard season
did.
and was a big boy. Kenyon Sadiq's production, slightly underwhelming, especially what we saw in the later part of the year.
Yep.
And he's undersized.
Interesting. So that was my complaint after like the first game I saw him. I was like, who the hell is this guy? He's a monster if he's big enough. Because like he isn't built like a tight end. He's built like an athlete. And then I looked and they listed him at 245. You're like, well,
Well, I know, but that's undersized.
is 245 undersized?
Warren's like 260.
He
bro.
is. No,
Slightly.
that's true. But again, like
And
what?
even Loveland was like 250 plus.
But Brock
and
Bowers,
6'5".
Bowers is like 230 though, isn't he?
Yeah, and you know what? The comp to me is Trey McBride.
Interesting. Which I wonder what he's at.
I'll throw that's
He's like 6'4", 250, and I think your Sadiq's like 6'3",
246.
245, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing with Sadiq though is that he doesn't look like there's room to add more. Like he is
he's
bulked
very
up.
built.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the lack of height, right? Like
Right.
you have less room to
Right.
add.
He is at 100% of his muscle capacity.
Correct.
pretty much.
If you want to put some fat on him and slow him down, you might be defeating the purpose.
I think that's the pick. I'll throw out Jordan Tyson though.
Is he a possibility there?
Well, the injury stuff could make it possible. He dropped in the consensus mock.
And receivers do move. Like next thing you know,
Certainly.
Mekhi Lemon has like
Certainly.
a 4.29 or I don't know if that's
Sure.
possible. Whatever guy it is,
Of course.
And then you're like, wait, Jerry Judy's not going. Like Henry Ruggs in front of Jerry Judy. There's always stuff like that with those 40 times with those guys.
Yeah.
So if he's a little bit slower than people expect, and a couple guys are fast, then he's at very least in trade up range.
Injury stuff will get him.
Yep, that too.
Right.
But
As it should.
I mean, he's
He'd be in a phenomenal
monster.
fit for
the
this team.
next Egbuka.
His hands are insane.
Oh, Sean Payton would have a field day with him.
He's
I
so
would have
good.
a field day.
He's so good.
I'd love a field day.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Lucia going field trip, Nature and Science Museum.
Oh, hell yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah,
One of the
Man.
best field trips as a kid.
it's my favorite.
I
Yeah,
wish
my
I
favorite.
yeah.
Without a doubt.
No, we go
We'll do that
forest.
one of these days.
Let's
don't worry.
go.
Consensus Mock had the most popular consensus pick for the Broncos is CJ Allen, who was already gone. So the way Fran did this was, if you're the consensus pick, you go to that team. So then the trickle down was there might have been a
Right.
guy who was the most popular consensus pick, but in this mock exercise, he
Right.
was already gone. So you go to the next on the
Right.
list and so on and so forth. Jake
Golday.
Golday, not Galladay as I took to calling him, because that's not his name. Golday, the Cincy linebacker, is who the Broncos took. And then it was interesting, Fran. So linebackers, the most
Interesting.
common consensus pick. And then Fran mentions both Kenyon Sadiq and Denzel Boston.
Denzel Boston. Okay.
So
one
we
more
like
Google.
Golday,
Casey.
Okay.
big athletic linebacker from Cincy.
Yes.
Yep.
But there are maybe questions of what is his ultimate athletic ceiling, and is that worthy of a first round pick, or is he more of a meat and potatoes linebacker who does it all? Small school kid, started his college career as an edge rusher. I think there's a lot of upside. You watch Golday, he jumps out for sure.
Shout out Jose praising the sun. I understand that reference.
I do not.
Dark Souls. Shout out Solaire.
Oh, nice.
Still don't get it.
Okay.
So linebacker, interesting one. Because I think what a lot of people miss about the draft at this point in the offseason is that like there's an order to how things go. So while right now you only have one starting linebacker and it's Dre Greenlaw and you have a wide open empty spot, there is no world in which the Broncos don't add a starting linebacker in free agency. Whether it's a guy who's on the roster or was on the roster last year, whether it's a free agent, like you aren't going into the draft with needs. The only rare situation is like last year, for example, with running back. Because like running backs are still going to be sitting out there after the draft. You missed on whoever you wanted to get. You see what you get in the draft so that you can adjust. But for the most part, you patch every single one of your holes in free agency. And then by the time the draft comes around, a lot of the needs you thought you had have already been patched. And that's why it almost makes more sense to look at what your holes will be next year and draft ahead, like they did with Savion Jones and JFM. Like you say, next year, we either have to move on from JFM or replacement free agency unless we use this pick the year before to get ourselves an in-house option so we have some flexibility. And so that's where at linebacker, I get it. But the question isn't like, oh no, how do you patch this hole? It's, we're going to have two starters. Do we need to have somebody ready to play behind them? And the answer might be yes again, because they really like Lavelle Bailey and they really like Karene Reed and then the Jordan something. But so they really like those young guys. They think like that's a spot where historically the undrafted guys have been able to be starters.
Sure.
And you still have Drew Sanders there. So roster wise, it's interesting, but there is you definitely could justify like, here's our linebacker, sit a year, start next year.
It's what this franchise has done since
Jordan Turner.
Who?
Jordan Turner.
Yes, Jordan Turner.
it's what this franchise has done since 2015, pretty much. Haven't invested at the position.
Since Hector was a pup.
So I think linebacker would make sense.
It would. It would have made sense till any season the last 10 years too.
Right. And that's the other thing, is that the way this group works is you draft the premium positions, you draft corners, you draft edge rushers, you draft receivers. Bo Nix, famously a draft pick. And then you use free agency to go get guys at cheap positions because that's where the value is. You go get Dre Greenlaw, Ufunga, Evan Ingram, J.K. Dobbins.
Which is exactly how I foresee this playing out.
Right.
Is you sign your running back tight end in free agency. Maybe, your Sternad, maybe Palcho's another cheap option, and you let Powers walk, and then you're coming into the draft with that defensive lineman to fill and wide receiver. And those are your premium needs that you kind of need to address off the bat.
Yeah.
With maybe a developmental tackle on the radar, maybe a developmental linebacker.
Right. That's why I go offensive line makes a lot of sense. Because this is the last year Ben Powers' contract. And so next year, you're going to need a starting guard. And that will be the last year McGlinchey's contract. Now, either one of those guys you could move on from earlier, but given where the Broncos are right now, I'd be pretty surprised. Although, again, you use a first-round pick on... Oh, this was another one of my rapid-fire questions. We'll get to it in a second. But if you go get Caden Proctor, for example, play him at guard for a year, and then bump him to tackle if you like it. Okay, so we'll hit that question. Is Caden Proctor good? So before the season, somebody said, like, who do you think Broncos are going to draft? And I said, I think it's going to be Caden Proctor. And then they all said, no, that's stupid because he won't be on the board. And I'm clinging to that dream because I remember him as being really good. But now he's potentially there at 30.
Go ahead.
Is he not?
I think he goes in the 20s.
Okay.
He's a big man who, yes, he has some stuff to clean up. Is he the most, pretty looking tackle? No. But he's an athletic freak. He's got the size. The things that you were worried about with Will Campbell, you were not worrying about with Caden Proctor.
1,000%.
And that's why you're at guard would make sense.
Yep. Yeah, maybe the foot quickness is an issue long term.
Right.
And the pass pro, but there's a lot to work with.
Right. Well, then, because if you go offensive line in the first round, first of all, you could just say, okay, take a year on the bench, you're our backup, and then when Powers moves on next year, we can plug you in there. Or we bring Powers back, move on from McGlinchey if we like you, whatever it may be. The other option is you draft him in the first round and say, okay, we just have Proctor and Palcho compete for the starting job this year, and we trade Ben Powers. Because there's the talk about cutting Ben Powers for $10 million or $8 million, whatever the new team would be paying to have him. You can trade him. I think somebody's going to take that.
Sure.
Which is
That'd work out nicely.
It would be interesting for sure.
Very much so. Yeah, I don't think linebacker is gonna be where they go in round one.
It would be, look, they need it. It'd be slightly disappointing, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, totally.
Linebacker would be disappointing.
Especially if it's Golday.
People really like linebackers, which I appreciate. But again, like, look how good Justin Sternad was last year.
100%.
Like, it took a couple years for him to, like, develop.
Yeah.
It was year 3 when they really started playing him, but that's a 7th-round pick. Like, Singleton was under... And look, Singleton is now, like, a very valuable linebacker.
That's the case with Brandon Marshall and Danny Trevathan and...
And then the worst part is, I feel like you can look back at some of the first-round linebackers and say, like Devin Bush and Devin...
No,
like,
that's a great point.
Devin White, who now actually played decently well for the Raiders in... His strengths were
Kenneth
strengths.
Murray, guys like that.
This is why you don't want to spend your premium draft picks on like these types of positions. Though.
And I feel like this is probably the wrong thought, but it feels like a 3rd-round linebacker is a lot more likely to become a starter at this point than even a 1st-round linebacker, because it feels like the 1st-round guys just always never work out.
Carson Schlesinger, he was drafted 50-something last year.
But despite everybody knowing, like, oh, he's going to be awesome. Like, he's going to be like at what he does. Like, he's not going to be perfect game changer. Also, Devin Lloyd's a free agent.
It's a nice linebacker class.
Oh, we've talked about Devin
Have
Lloyd.
you? I need to go back and watch, but like he's a playmaker. I don't know if like the down to down, like if you replace Singleton with Devin Lloyd, are you all of a sudden just giving up an extra 12, 13 yard run a game because he's just in the wrong spot? And I don't want to put that on him without watching, but that was the concern early on in his career.
Stud.
Maybe.
Okay, we trust him to know his job now
Stud.
because the playmaking is all there. He's going to make you plays.
Keep that Utah pipeline going.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Never stop. Yeah, we've got a super chat from John Anerla 9884. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Shout out to the Draft Pod and the DNVR. I look forward to the show each week.
Hell yeah.
We love you, John. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. There was a good Toyota chat on the tight ends too. Yeah, if you could bring that up. Yeah, that mentioned Justin Jolly and Trigg rising up. So Kyle Lewis, a safety from Pitt, who's kind of played more linebacker lately. Many were saying best cover reps one-on-one they've ever seen from a linebacker at the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
Sonny Styles has a similar profile, converted safety to linebacker, and he's going in the top 12. And as I was saying, maybe he's this class's Nick Enuari. Yeah. Kyle Lewis from Pitt, very intriguing and kind of similar profile, and maybe could be had in the second or third round.
Right.
I have a take.
Please.
Jacob Rodriguez is that guy this year.
Ooh. Is he, so again, when
Another
I hear
Texas Tech guy,
linebacker name I know, I think, oh, he's got to be inaccessible. But is he actually like a first round pick?
No.
Oh, really?
He's not a first
Okay.
round pick. He's
Nice.
a day 2 guy for sure. But
Awesome.
I think he's like, if you want to talk about like a Carson Schlesinger for this draft class, I think it's him.
Okay.
instincts, coverability.
Yep.
It's the stuff that maybe we underrate when we get closer to the draft, but then proves to be the most valuable later on. So I think you've got some options at linebacker for sure. I just don't know that round one,
It's a good linebacker
especially
class.
late round one.
I think
Super deep wide receiver, edge, corner classes.
receiver's another just strange fit. Because you do have room now, like with Lil Jordan Humphrey off the roster. Remember, it was Trent Sherfield who had that spot before. Like, you do have room on the roster, but you would think he has to play special teams. And then you wonder about how touches work with, I mean, Mims in a contract year. Mims making $6 million this year. Or you can save $6 million from moving on from Mims this year, which is kind of an interesting, because he got the escalator for the fourth year because he's a Pro Bowler.
That's interesting.
Right. And he is worth more than $6 million. But how much more is a question.
Yeah.
Like when you look through it, like the Jags signed the Diami Brown, who had never had, I don't think he'd ever had 600 yards, maybe even 500 yards in a season. Gave him like $10 million last year. Like, okay, receivers get paid like that. But it is interesting.
I was asking you off air if the Broncos need a true slot wide receiver, because RK's high on Casey Concepcion. We are as well. And you were like, not really. They just need a super slot. Like someone who, well, fair. You said this to me. I'm recapping
I did
the
say
combo
that.
we had.
You're there.
That they more need that number one that has the trickle down effect on the rest of the wide receiver room. Then all of a sudden Sutton's a super number two. The other guys are super number threes, and so on and so forth. And in this class, you might have that in Denzel Boston, the 6'4" Washington wide receiver with some inside-outside versatility for a big wideout, pretty technically sound in his route running and stuff. Doesn't have amazing production, but it's pretty darn good. Mekhi Lemon maybe fits that. Obviously, Jordan Tyson is that to a T in this class. And then I've seen Omar Cooper Jr. really rising up boards and having a lot of... Dane Brugler had him ranked 30th on his board. Mike Renner from CBS had him mocked to the Broncos. He's one of your favorites, the Indiana wide receiver. He's 6', 205, inside-outside versatility. He was a monster at Indiana. You've been talking him up for a while.
Right.
He might be a really intriguing super slot.
Absolutely. He just moves a little bit different than a lot of the other wide receivers. And then you didn't mention Chris Bell, but if you want to, take a shot on a guy who maybe you don't have very much this year and, you're really looking forward to the future, Chris Bell might be that guy.
Maybe less inside-outside, but Chris Bell's a 220-pound wide receiver that put that Miami defense in absolute hell when they played Louisville. And if it wasn't for the injury, was it an ACL?
Yes, late ACL injury.
Late ACL, this guy is a top 15 prospect.
Yes.
I have no doubt about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options.
My thought on receiver is this. And I'm in the minority, but I kind of like where they're at. Like, I think, like, when your strategy is you draft and develop your receivers, this, to me, would be the wrong time to say, you know what, we just need to go get somebody else. Because, like, Troy Franklin, as a 22-year-old last year, had 700 receiving yards.
Yes.
So like in year 3, is he now a 1,000-yard receiver?
The
I wouldn't be
flashes
surprised.
from Pat Bryant are very intriguing.
Right, exactly.
But
I'm like, is he?
I don't know if we have time to get into all
He
this.
might be your best receiver. Marvin Mims going into a contract year. Like, I'd almost say if you're actually going to draft a receiver, you get rid of Marvin before the season. Like, you get something for him instead of waiting until afterward.
Guarantee him those touches.
Right, because you have 4 guys who you really want to get the ball to, and I would almost just patch the group together with Mac Hollins, a guy who will go out there, special teams, can do some blocking and that sort of stuff, unless you're actually going to get like a guy you think is going to go have 1,300 yards. Because what you don't need is another guy to go get 600 yards because you're stunting the development of everybody. That's where I'm at. And I'm in the minority.
Wide receiver is going to be very fun. Jake has a lot of thoughts, and we should unpack those on the next show. We have a question on Houston tight end Kozoil, who we love.
Yeah.
Is he too slow? Saying he's a 5th or 6th round steal. I think he's more going borderline top 100. He was second only to Eli Stowers from Vandy in receiving yards for tight ends last year. I think he's a very intriguing, would be a great tight end to add to this room.
Very much so. He was Houston's best offensive player, pretty much outside of Wegman.
Yeah, as Griffin, the Toyota chat mentions, the catch radius is phenomenal. Bring up that last comment, and we'll get out of here. On the tight ends, Eli Stowers out of Vandy is making noise. Justin Jolly and starting to hear a lot about Michael Trigg.
Oh,
right.
It's thin compared to last year, though. These are all intriguing tight ends that are being mentioned, and all tight ends that I like. We've talked about Jolie quite a bit. I almost did that again.
I sent you guys this tweet last night from Dane Brugler. It says, further evidence of the crazy day 3 depth at tight end in this year's draft class. Tight ends invited to the combine over the last 5 years. 27 for the 2026 combine this year. 21 the year before. 16, 20, 21 over the last 5 years.
Huh.
The depth is impressive. The top end talent probably lacking a smidge.
For sure.
Which is also what's pushing Kenyon Sadiq up the boards a little bit more.
Tight end in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round historically has been a good pick.
Yeah.
And if you bring back Adam Troutman and say, okay, this year, Troutman, Adkins, Evan Ingram again, you hope for more from Ingram. Like, it wouldn't be exciting, but they're not going to excite you at every position. And then you add one of 3rd, 4th, 5th round guys like that by next year could really pay off. And who knows? Sometimes those guys pop year
We
one.
just agree it kind of needs to be an inline guy, right?
Definitely.
That's not another move tight end.
Right. Yeah.
Riley Nowakowski, the Indiana, who I think Lance Zierlein was putting out, like he blocks better than some of the O-line in this class.
Yeah, get that guy.
He's awesome.
Go get that guy.
But he's probably a fullback, right?
I do not care.
Sam Roush, the Stanford tight end, getting a shout out. This was awesome. Can't wait to keep doing this all draft season long. Thank you to Big Hank for hopping on. Catch him on Broncos in just 20 minutes.
Yep.
The Schwan Man will be on talking Buffs at 1:30. Thank you to super producer Yaya and all the homies in the Toyota chat. We Mile High salute you, and we'll see you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.